yesterday's news.
Hello and welcome to Old News, the programme and podcast which looks at news stories of the day through the papers and journals of yesterday. A little bit different these last few weeks, as instead of lots of different papers, we're taking one subject and looking at 1 year perhaps in particular, taken from the wonderful Here is the News book, an illustrated Manx history by the late, great Terry Kringle, departed from this parish, much loved and missed at Manx Radio, of course. And thinking about the bicentenary of the RNLI, only the other day, a crew, or several crews possibly, assembled by the statue just below us here on Douglas Head. And I was looking at the year 1830, the news in the year of 1830, the wreck of the St. George. And Terry comments, the Douglas lifeboat under the command of Sir William Hillary today braved a fierce gale to rescue the 22 people on board the Royal Mail packet St. George, which was driven hard aground on St. Mary's Rock at 5 o'clock this morning by the powerful southeasterly winds. But 60-year-old Sir William, one of the founders of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, has suffered extensive injuries, and the St. George has broken up and sunk. And then there is the report. November the 20th, 1830, the St. George, commanded by Lieutenant Tudor R.N., had made passage from Liverpool during the night and anchored outside Douglas Harbour to await daylight. The Isle of Man Steam Packet Company vessel Mona's Isle also arrived from Liverpool, but because of threatening weather, her captain decided to stand well out to sea. In the early hours of the morning, the wind swung round to the southeast and built up to gale force, making the St. George drag her cable chain. She had kept up steam throughout the night and the crew were at their stations, but nothing could be done to stop the steamer going aground between the St. Mary's and Pollock rocks. She began to fill with water and settled with her head towards the land, with huge waves breaking over her. Sir William saw her distress rockets from his residence on Prospect Hill and immediately took the lifeboat to sea with Lieutenant Robert Robinson R.N., St. George's Steamship Company agent Mr. William Corlett, Cox Isaac Vondy, and 14 volunteer crewmen. In spite of the high seas, they managed to get alongside the St. George between the ship and the rocks. But in doing so, the lifeboat lost its rudder and 6 of its 10 oars, and the two craft became locked together by fallen rigging. Sir William, who is unable to swim, he was a brave man, wasn't he, was washed overboard with Mr. Corlett and 2 of his crew, and they were all hauled onto the wave-swept deck of the St. George. Sir William was unconscious with 6 broken ribs. The crews of both vessels assembled on the St. George to make plans and began to cut away the fallen rigging. This took 2 hours of hard work in the storm. Can you imagine? But eventually everyone leapt aboard the lifeboat and, bailing water all the time, pulled themselves free. Fortunately, they were driven to the sheltered side of St. Mary's Rock, with only a comparatively easy quarter-mile to shore. They reached land with miraculously no loss of life. The St. George has been competing vigorously for the last 3 months with the steam packets Mona's Isle for the mastery of the Liverpool Douglas station. She has never been able to match Mona's Isle for speed, and her loss appears to leave her Liverpool owners unable to carry on competition with the steam packet, which was formed in Douglas just last year. A steam packet spokesman said the Mona's Isle was saved today by standing out to sea instead of anchoring inshore. He said it looked as though the Liverpool route might now be secured for what is a Manx-owned and operated company. Can you imagine? 2 hours in a storm trying to get free, 6 broken ribs, being unconscious and unable to swim. He was a brave man indeed. In the same year, King William's College was being built. Progress is rapid on the building of King William's College at Castletown, it was reported. The foundation stone was laid earlier this year on the 23rd of April by the Governor, Colonel Cornelius Smelt. There might be a memorial to him down south. It is hoped that the first pupils can be admitted in about 3 years' time. Somewhat faster than building a school now, one would think. It is now 142 years, yes, that's more like our timescale now, since Bishop Isaac Barrow, who was appalled by the standard of education he found in the island on his arrival, established the trust under which the school is now being built. The design work of the new building has been entrusted to the Douglas firm of architects Handsome and Welsh. And also an interesting footnote in that year, 1830. News reached the Isle of Man that the last of the Bounty mutineers, John Adams, died last year on the South Sea island of Pitcairn. All the other mutineers, including Lieutenant Fletcher Christian, had died or been killed by the time Royal Navy frigates found Adams living on Pitcairn 15 years ago. It was decided he should be able to live out his life there. Meanwhile, the only known survivor of the mutiny, which happened 41 years ago, is seriously ill and not expected to survive at his London home. Captain Peter Hayward, son of the late Deemster Hayward, was a 15-year-old midshipman when he left the island to sail with Bounty on her fateful voyage. He's lived in seclusion, suffering from ill health arising from the mutiny for the last 12 years. Some wonderful stories there from 1830. Bravery, mutiny, King William's, goodness me. And thanks very much to Terry with his wonderful writing. We'll have more old news next week. Check out the podcast, of course. Until then, cheerio.
You're gonna be yesterday's news.